All right, so, we all deal with tech problems sometimes, right?
Right.
Like, when your favorite app decides to just quit on ya, or a website you're trying to get to just spins and spins forever.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It's, like, super frustrating.
Definitely.
But have you ever thought about, like, what's actually happening?
Like behind the scenes.
Yeah, like when you report one of those issues.
That's a whole hidden world.
Yeah, it is. So today...
Problem solving.
Yeah, we're going to dive deep into that.
Awesome.
And, we have this great series of videos about how IT professionals actually tackle these issues.
It's fascinating stuff.
And they use this framework called ITL. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. It's like the gold standard for IT service management.
So it's not just some random acronym.
No. It's a whole set of best practices.
Oh, okay. So what's the big picture?
Well, the core goals are really about efficiency.
Okay.
And making sure that IT services are delivered well.
So they're trying to make our lives easier. It's all about improving the user experience.
I like that. So, in ITIL, I hear they make a distinction between incidents and requests for change.
Huge difference.
Okay, can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. So an incident is like a sudden disruption.
Okay.
Something breaks. Could be a system crash, a network outage.
Okay.
Maybe performance just takes a nosedive.
Right.
A request for change is different.
Okay.
This is when something's working fine, but you want to tweak it or improve it somehow.
Gotcha.
It's proactive, not reactive.
So, like, if my internet goes out, that's an incident.
Exactly.
But if I want to upgrade to get faster speeds...
That's a change request.
That's a change request. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So why is this distinction so important?
Well, because it totally changes how the issue is handled.
Okay.
An incident, that needs immediate action, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like all hands on deck to get things back up and running.
Right.
A change request, that's more deliberate.
Okay. It involves planning, careful implementation, checking that the change doesn't mess up other parts of the system.
Right. It's like calling 911 versus scheduling a doctor's appointment.
It's a perfect analogy.
Right. Totally different levels of urgency.
Yeah.
So let's say you've reported an incident. What happens next?
Well, usually the first step is what we call triage.
Okay.
This is where the first line of support comes in, usually the help desk.
Okay.
They're like the gatekeepers, gathering info, figuring out what the issue is.
And I think it's wild that some help desks are even using AI now.
Oh, yeah, it's becoming more and more common.
But like to handle those initial calls.
Right.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool. AI can gather basic information.
Yeah.
Even categorize the problem based on what the user is saying.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes it can even solve the problem automatically.
Really?
Yeah, like simple things, password resets, or connectivity issues.
So it's like having a virtual assistant who can take care of those easy things. And then the human agents can focus on
the more complex stuff.
The trickier problems.
Right.
But what happens if even the AI can't figure it out?
Well, then a human agent steps in.
Okay.
And one of the first things they'll consider is user error.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's not the technology itself, it's how it's being used.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all felt that frustration of
totally.
Why isn't this working?
Yeah, and then you realize you were doing something wrong the whole time.
Exactly.
It's humbling.
It happens to the best of us. But, it really highlights the importance of good documentation.
Oh, yeah.
And user training.
Right.
Because if a lot of people are reporting the same issue, it could be a sign that the instructions aren't clear.
Right.
Or that the software is just confusing to use.
Right.
So investing in good documentation can save everyone a lot of hassle.
Makes sense. So we've checked for user error.
Right.
What's next?
Well, the next thing they'll do is check if it's a known issue.
Oh.
Something they've seen before. If it is, there might already be a workaround, a temporary fix.
Okay.
While they're working on a permanent solution.
So that gives the user at least some reassurance.
Exactly.
That they're not alone and that someone's working on it.
Yeah, it's that we're on it feeling.
Yeah, for sure. But what if it's a totally new issue, something they've never seen before, and now things are getting interesting?
Oh, yeah. Then it's time to bring in the big guns.
Okay.
The second level support staff.
Right.
These are the folks who really dig deep. They're like the detectives of the IT world.
I love it.
They're tasked with uncovering the root cause of the problem.
So they need their magnifying glasses and deerstalker caps.
Haha, absolutely. And the first thing they usually do is try to replicate the issue.
Oh, okay.
Can they recreate the problem in their own test environment?
Right.
That's crucial because it lets them isolate the variables and start narrowing down the possibilities.
So they're basically conducting a scientific experiment.
Exactly.
Trying to control all the factors to see what's really causing the problem.
You got it.
Yeah.
Once they can replicate the issue consistently, they can ask more specific questions.
Like what?
Well, like, is it a data issue? Meaning there's something wrong with the information being fed into the system.
Okay.
Or is it a code issue? Meaning there's a flaw in the software itself.
Ooh, okay, hold on. Can we break that down a bit more? What's the difference between a data issue and a code issue?
Sure. Think about it like baking a cake, okay?
Okay, I like cake.
A data issue would be like using spoiled milk.
Oh, no.
Or the wrong amount of flour. The ingredients themselves are the problem.
Okay.
The recipe might be fine, but the cake's going to be bad because of what you put in it.
Gotcha. So bad data is like bad input.
Exactly.
And buggy code is like a messed up recipe.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Now, in the world of software, bad data could be anything from corrupted files to incorrect entries in a database.
Right.
Buggy code, that could be a logic error in the program's instructions, making it do weird things.
Right. So once they figure out if it's data or code, what happens next?
Well, if it's a really complex issue, they might need to call in some reinforcements.
Oh.
That's where the incident manager comes in.
The incident manager?
Yeah, this person has a view of all the incidents being reported, and they can spot patterns that might point to a bigger problem.
So they're kind of like the air traffic controllers.
Exactly. Making sure everything's flowing smoothly and spotting potential collisions.
Right. So they might decide to escalate an incident to a problem.
Right.
Which means it's not just a one-time thing, but a recurring issue that needs a more permanent fix.
Precisely.
And that's where ITIL's definition of a problem comes in.
Yeah.
It's not just a single incident, but the root cause of multiple incidents. Like realizing that a leaky faucet is a symptom of a bigger plumbing problem.
Great analogy. And this is where things shift from reacting to problems to proactively managing them. The focus now is on finding a permanent fix, not just patching things up as they break. And that brings us to another key player, the problem manager.
Okay, so we've got our first responders, the help desk, our detectives, the second level support, our air traffic controller, the incident manager. Now we're adding a problem manager to the mix.
You got it. The problem manager is like the architect. They're responsible for designing a solid solution that gets to the root of the problem.
Right.
They often work with the development team, the people who can actually fix the code or the system. And to kick off that process, they create a formal document called a request for change.
Request for change.
Or RFC for short.
Okay, an RFC. So that's like a blueprint for fixing the problem.
Exactly. It outlines the proposed solution and the steps involved.
So that goes through a review process to make sure everything makes sense.
Right. They check that the solution's feasible, that it won't create new problems, and that it aligns with what the system is supposed to do.
Makes sense. So it sounds like a lot of thought and planning goes into this process.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good to know. But what happens once the developers have done their magic and the fix is ready?
That's where the real test begins, the testing phase.
Yeah. So we're in the middle of this ITIL journey, right?
We are.
Figuring out how these tech problems get solved. And last we heard, the developers are hard at work on that fix.
Right.
But it doesn't just stop there, does it?
Oh, definitely not. The fix itself might be perfect, but it's got to be tested thoroughly.
Yeah, because a bad fix, that could create even more problems.
Exactly. It's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Imagine a software update that's supposed to fix a small bug, but then it accidentally breaks a major feature.
Oh, no.
Total chaos.
Yeah, and that's good.
So yeah, that's why testing is crucial.
So how does that actually work? Do they just like click around and see if anything breaks?
Well, it's more systematic than that. ITIL outlines different levels of testing, each with a specific goal.
Okay.
One important one is called regression testing.
Regression testing? Sounds kind of scary.
The name might sound intimidating, but the idea is pretty simple.
Okay.
Imagine you're renovating a house.
Okay.
You wouldn't just knock down a wall without making sure it wasn't holding up the roof.
Wow,
right?
That's a disaster waiting to happen.
Exactly. Regression testing is kind of like that.
Okay.
It makes sure that while fixing one problem, you're not accidentally creating new ones or breaking things that were already working.
It's like checking for those ripple effects.
You got it.
When you change one part of a complex system.
It's all about keeping the whole system stable.
Right. So regression testing, that's one level. What else?
Another crucial stage is user acceptance testing, or UAT.
Okay, UAT.
This is where the focus shifts to how the fix actually works for the user.
Right, because ultimately it's all about the user's experience.
Exactly. We want to make sure that the fix not only solves the technical problem, but that it also makes sense for the person actually using the system.
It's like a final dress rehearsal before a big performance.
Perfect analogy.
Making sure everything runs smoothly from the audience's perspective.
Right. In UAT, real users try out the fix in a real-world environment, doing their normal tasks, and seeing how it affects their workflow.
So they're not just checking if a button works, they're checking if it works in a way that actually makes sense for them.
Exactly. UAT is so valuable because it gives you real feedback from the people who are going to be using the system every day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It helps catch any usability issues or unexpected consequences that might have been missed in those earlier tests.
So all of this testing, it seems super thorough.
It is.
Lots of checks and balances.
Yeah.
But who's actually in charge of making sure all of this happens?
Well, it depends on how the organization's set up, but often there's a release manager.
The release manager?
Yeah. Think of him like the conductor of an orchestra. Making sure everyone's in sync.
So they do more than just hit the publish button, right?
Oh, yeah. They're responsible for the whole release process from start to finish.
So what does that actually involve?
Well, they work closely with the developers to make sure the fix is properly packaged and ready to go. They coordinate with the testing team to review the test results and make sure everything's working as expected. They communicate with the users about when the fix is coming, what to expect, that kind of thing.
So they're handling all the logistics, the communication, the big picture coordination.
You got it.
Wow. Sounds like a pretty important job.
It is. A good release manager can make a huge difference.
Right. Between a smooth update and a total disaster.
Exactly. So, we talked about developers as the architects. Testers as the quality control inspectors. The release manager, they're like the general contractor.
I like it.
Making sure the whole project comes together on time and within budget.
So it's a real team effort.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Everyone plays a crucial role.
Absolutely. But, even with the best team, you still need a solid process.
Yeah, a clear roadmap to follow.
Right. So is there like a step-by-step guide to resolving an issue the ITIL way?
Well, ITIL provides a framework, but the exact steps can vary depending on the organization and the issue itself. Kind of like a recipe, you might adjust the ingredients or the cooking time depending on what you're making and what you have on hand.
Right. Some issues are a simple microwave meal. And others are like a gourmet 5-course dinner.
Exactly. But in general, ITIL follows a logical flow. It usually starts with incident detection. Someone reports an issue. That could be a help desk ticket, an email, a phone call.
So step one, someone says, hey, something's broken.
Exactly.
Then what?
Then it's incident logging and categorization. The help desk or support team gathers information, tries to reproduce the issue.
And figures out how serious it is, what category it falls into.
So that's where they figure out if it's user error, a known issue, or something bigger.
Exactly.
What's next?
Next comes investigation and diagnosis. This is where the second-level support team, maybe the problem manager, they really dig in to figure out what's causing the problem.
They put on their detective hats and start gathering clues.
Exactly. Once they've got a good understanding of the root cause, they can start working on a solution. That might mean fixing a bug in the code, changing a setting, or maybe finding a workaround until a permanent fix is ready.
And then we go back to that testing phase we talked about before.
You got it, with all those checks and balances. And if the fix passes all the tests, it goes to the release manager for deployment.
Deployment day. That's when the fix actually reaches the users.
Exactly. The release manager coordinates everything. Make sure the rollout is smooth, that users know what's happening. And even after the release, there's usually a period of monitoring to make sure everything's working as expected.
So they don't just release it and forget about it. They keep an eye on things.
Exactly. And then finally, once everything's stable and the issue is resolved, they close it out officially.
Case closed.
It's a great feeling. Knowing you helped bring order back to the system and make things better for the users.
Definitely. Well, this whole journey through ITIL and issue management, it's been fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
It's amazing to see how much goes on behind the scenes to fix those tech problems we all experience.
It really shows the power of good systems and processes. And, it's not just about IT. these principles apply to pretty much any field.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like any kind of problem solving.
Exactly.
It's about communication, documentation, testing, focusing on what the user needs.
It's all connected. Like think about a doctor diagnosing a patient.
Okay.
Or a chef perfecting a recipe. They're all essentially going through a similar process.
Right. Identifying the problem.
Yeah.
Investigating the cause, finding a solution.
Testing it out.
Refining it. Yeah.
And, just like in IT, skipping steps can have some pretty bad consequences.
Ooh, yeah. Imagine a doctor prescribing medicine without a proper diagnosis.
Or a chef serving a dish without tasting it first.
Not good. So what are the main takeaways for us? How can we apply these ITIL principles in our own lives?
Well, one big one is that systematic approach to problem solving, right? It's tempting to jump right into solutions.
Yeah, we've all been there.
But taking the time to really define the problem, get all the information, think about it from different angles, that can save you a lot of trouble later on.
It's like that saying, measure twice, cut once.
Exactly. Yeah. And just like ITIL emphasizes clear communication and documentation, we should strive for that in our own interactions too.
Yeah, making sure we're being clear and concise.
Whether it's an email, giving instructions, whatever.
Yeah, reducing ambiguity.
Right. And of course, we can't forget about testing and validation.
Right. Don't just assume your solution will work.
Exactly. Test it out, get feedback from others, and keep refining it.
It's like anything. The more you practice and get feedback, the better the outcome will be.
Absolutely.
So this ITIL framework, it's not just about IT. It's really about...
It's about problem solving.
Yeah, a way of thinking.
A mindset.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
It has.
And I'm definitely feeling inspired to apply some of these principles in my own life.
That's great. And remember, learning never really stops. There's always more to discover, always ways to improve our problem-solving skills.
So I guess the takeaway here is keep asking questions, keep experimenting, keep diving deep.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
I agree.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
My pleasure. It's been fun.
And for everyone listening out there, keep those tech questions coming and stay curious.